Bonsoir, bienvenue à tous. Goedenavond en hartelijk welkom. Nous avons la chance d'avoir parmi nous le réalisateur de ce film que vous allez avoir la chance au moins aussi grande de découvrir ce soir, In the Fog, Sergei Loznitsa, qui est présent et à qui je vais poser quelques questions. Die vragen zal ik in het Engels vragen stellen. Dus ik zal doorgaan in het Engels, maar ik kan meer dingen zeggen voordat wij de interview doen. Il y a la rétrospective des œuvres de Sergei Loznitsa, tout à fait passionnante, avec des courts-métrages notamment rarissimes et beaucoup d'avant-premières, qui durent jusqu'au 31. Donc du 10 au 31, il y a une carte blanche tout à fait intéressante avec Caligari, avec Buñuel, avec Renoir, courte mais très très remarquable, qui a lieu du 15 au 29. Er is een masterclass die morgen zal gebeuren op 2 uur hier, Cinematheek. En het zal gebeuren in het Russisch, vertaald in Frans. Il y aura un débat à Beaux-Arts, oui, Beaux-Arts demain soir, il faut se transporter, mais c'est pas loin. À Beaux-Arts, à 18h, un débat sur l'Ukraine vu par l'intelligentsia est-européenne. Et alors, last but not least pour demain, à 20h, la première de Maïdan, un film phénoménal, un documentaire d'une puissance assez rare. Sergei sera bien entendu là aussi pour répondre à des questions. En zijn nog 2 dingen die buiten Brussel gebeuren. Op de 12e in Gent, in de Kask, waar Maidan is vertoond met een Q&A met Sergei. En ook op de 13e in Cinema Zuid in Antwerpen, hetzelfde, Maidan en Q&A. Ok, je crois que j'ai terminé avec les choses que vous deviez savoir. S'il vous plaît, please. Do you prefer to stand up? I mean, no?
We can sit, but bonsoir. And I would like to thank for invitation. For me, it's a great honor to be here and present my films in such an important and old place. And now we have to talk.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, if you still feel like it, yeah.
No, it's okay.
Okay. To start with the start, I mean, it doesn't seem that, I mean, becoming a filmmaker was the very first idea, you know, that you had as a kid, you know, I'm dreaming of that. You actually majored in totally different things. I mean, from university, and then you turned to film. So I would like to know under what circumstances did it happen? Because I read that you majored in mathematics and whatever, and as an engineer also, if the internet is correct.
Yes, but it is from the distance. It looks like it's kind of different things.
Except they're not.
But with the time which I made the films, I understand that it's very close to the math. Because you know the boss is the mathematics and cinema. It's a model with different approach, but it's a model which help us to think a little bit. Who tried to do that, and you know it's such a abstract things as mathematics, and I will talk about that tomorrow. And what happens with me? It's easy. I just would like to be a student once more, to have 5 more years as a student, which is fun. And also I would like to have, because before I had technical education, let's say like that, with maybe one humanitarian course is a story of Communist Party of United States. Oh no, USSR, which is USSR.
Smaller.
Yes,
Smaller, yes.
and and another story. It's a story of economic, which wrote by Karl Marx, and it's more reasonable thing, but also. And that's all. But I want to have a story of art, and theater and cinema and dramaturgy and literature and etc. etc. This you can meet, and music you can meet it in cinema institution. And I
yeah.
just it was occasional to just open the right door for me. But I understand that it's a right door when I made third film.
Oh yes.
10 years after I opened this door.
Yeah, we'll be back to that. I will take you even further back to ask you, what do you remember? Not the first movie that you remember seeing, but the first movie you ever saw that sort of struck you as, wow, this is cinema. Cinema can do such thing. A film that impressed you with the knowledge that this is filmmaking.
Yeah, I remember. It's Ettore Scola Libal. No words.
Yes.
Music, people, and story of European story in 20th century, which is quite impressive. I think that okay, it can be something, not just for pleasure and just for fun.
When embarking on film studies after the things you mentioned, when did your interest turn specifically and already to the documentary, and if not, when and how did it happen that you chose documentary as the sort of a first field of expression?
I in that moment when it happened, I didn't think about that. But I think that the first film which we shot, me and my colleague, his name Marat Magambetov, also we studied together. We shot film from the window of his house, and it's such dangerous to come with the camera on the street. And we put to the window and observe the construction, how people try to reconstruct the building in Russian way. When it's a curious way, when people try to escape to work, and made it with very in very smart way, and funny if you observe them. But finally they finished the house. This is idea of this film, or I don't know, this student film. It's kind of comedy. And also no word. I tried to make films without text, if I can, to express idea through the picture. I do it. But what I didn't know how and about what to make a feature film, because you have to create something. You have to have imagination of something. But how you can do that if you didn't know even what is it, this phenomenon with which you have deal? And one of the best way to see how the picture is different from reality, to practice that, it's make a documentary. Observation, just observation, and we shot 2 months, spent like 25 reels. When the film is over, start to edit. Finally made the film.
From the start on, I mean, one of the striking aspects of what you do is the fact that the language of cinema is taken into account. I mean, the potential of what is film. You are playing with it, creating with it, and in a way that is sometimes almost, like in a laboratory, trying things, pushing the limits of that uh, language and the potential of films. I mean, how did is it something that from the start on you wanted to do? I mean, use some, and we'll be back to that. Use things in that language of cinema at the same time as you were dealing with, well, the real world. I mean, light, movement or not movement. One shot, one take, things that we can see also in your feature film.
But when you choose the language
Yeah.
for the film, it always depends on the idea. And the first question, what you want to say. Many films or directors, they didn't ask what
No,
they want
totally
to
not.
say. And after that, with which tools you will do it and why. Three questions. When you start to choose your topic, and after that start to think how you will open your topic, because for me cinema each film start from zero. It means that let's pretend that we didn't understand anything and never saw the films, and build from the beginning the rules. This is a very interesting task. And of course, everything already was, but to try to find a way which will express idea and this, find something new in it. This is interesting for me. And I don't know. Some time from time I repeat the something in my films, or try to develop these sentences, let's say like that. But it depends on the idea also.
You mentioned earlier that it was only after your third film that you realize, yes, I mean, that door I opened, I'm going to stay, I mean, in that room, whose door I opened. Can you explain us why? I mean, what happened after that third film that gave you that?
Two films previous, before, I made with my colleague, and you never know who is where. He's a very talented guy also, and it was also important to make a film alone. And and in this film, it is a film named the Holt, Russian Polustanak, semi-station, kind of. Train stop or something like that, and we shot during the year. It's a 23 minutes film, but during the year we came to this small station and shot the people who sleeping on that station. In static camera, we just add a little bit light and shoot the different people, and I think about the line, how it must develop, and what is the dramaturgy, how I can like express what I want finally through the sound. But I find that if for example, from frame to frame, the clothes will change and sound also, which we just heard, and we come from summer to autumn, and after that to the winter. Slowly, because all shots it's like 20, 40, 30 seconds. You just observe and listen the snoring and some moshe, flies, and After that, in this silence, occasionally, in the one important moment, golden, golden, how to say, ratio. The train, which nobody expected, appears in the time. It was interesting for me to find this concept. Like, you know, you can interpret it after that. It's a sentence about a country which sleeping all his history, or I don't know. But it's not exact. It's just object which give you a possibility of that interpretation. And finally, when I made a sound mix and saw the film, I said, "Oh, this is end." So bad film. I was so disappointed. I don't know why. But, it was true. I think that okay, I have to come back.
Yeah. I mean,
and after 1 month,
yeah.
it was different.
Well, at this moment already, you were already dealing with an element that became even more important in your work. Is the sound, the sound design of the film, the importance of what is heard, especially what we can hear but not see. I mean, is it some? Could you explain a little about your relationship with sound and how crucial it can be?
I always say to my sound designer, Vladimir Golovnitsky, he's from Lithuania, I say him that I make a picture especially for these 2-3 months which we spent after that to making sound. It's like a grunt for real picture. And yeah, but it's and he answered me, you know that sound is such important because the direction is for eye direction is out, but for is inside. Yeah, but it's okay. I think that this is one of the dimension which you can not everybody use it. Normally, people like record sound on the shooting place and after that forget it, but add to the picture and that's all. But for me, it's a lot of stories which I tell on behalf of the main story, and even sound can be line of dramaturgy of the film. And also it's a kind of symphony. It's such interesting. Maybe in another life I prefer to be a compositor. I don't know.
I mean, we have to ask the question about, you know, documentary fiction. And I mean, I just got this book, Documentaire et Fiction Aller-Retour, and there are two things said in it that I just want you to react to and maybe start on this subject. One is Riti Pan saying, well, there is no reality, everything is mise en scène. And one thing that the Dardenne brothers are saying in an interview, when they say that they turned to fiction, when they sort of realized that they were directing more and more their documentaries. They were actually directing the stuff more and more, and that turned them to fiction. So what would be your ideas about the link, the differences, and the relationship between what is called documentary, what is called fiction?
Okay, but I changed the sentence about reality.
Yes.
It's no reality, even mise en scène is no reality. Point.
Oh, yes.
Everything is fake.
Mm-hmm.
Who? Orson Welles did the film. Film is a fake.
Yeah, fake, yeah.
Yes. We have to like make a point here.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can say that the difference exists, of course, and this difference exists inside your mind or mind of the spectator. One simple definition from Oliveira Manuel de Oliveira. He said that in feature films, the actor knows that you shoot him, but in documentary he doesn't know. Or sometimes he didn't know that you shoot him. And for me, it's only one problem exists because you intervene to the life of others, and you can discover something which other people didn't know about themselves, and you can open them this kind of side of the life, which can be dangerous for them. And this is your responsibility, which I never do like that, because I don't want to like crossing the line where other personality live, and you know, because I understand that I didn't understand nothing with my nose. I just put open the wrong door. And the simple example of that, it's just you know, can you imagine? I show you the like episode where you can see the suicide of somebody tried to kill himself with a knife. It was one film with this kind of shot. And it's a long take, and you long shot, and you see that and say, "Oh, super! Where you find this kind of great actor?" And I say, "Okay, come on, it's not an actor. It's in real life. What he asks you, how you can stay and shoot that. What happens with a shot? Nothing. It's the same, like same pellicula, but with your perception. You know, this is for me. This is difference, and difference exists in the ethic, because in feature film you can do what you want. We have an agreement. We didn't break of life of some people, and it's out of that.
When we have this film shown tonight in the Fog, tomorrow at Beaux-Arts Maidan, this one is dealing with history made. I mean, during the Second World War, Maidan is in a way about history in the making. Could you tell us a little about your relationship to history and how it maybe it can Alain Cavalier, both Alain Cavalier and Retipan say how troubled history around them made them become the directors they are. So I mean, what about you? Is it more than an interest? Is it in a certain way something coming out of those circumstances?
This is okay. I think that because I make films about history of special country, which name it Russia Empire and Soviet Union, and it's better when you want to understand, try to understand what happens now in that country, to come back to the place where this country stopped in development.
Yes.
And it was this kind of moments, and now nothing new. You know, it's no history. It's just an event and comma in between these events. Because history starts when the people, when something happens, and after that people reflect on it, make a solution, and never come back, for example, or I don't know, doesn't matter. But kind of reaction. In this country, something happens, and after that we repeat the same mistakes, and no solution. It means that brain somewhere in other place. And in this country, which are big, let's say Russian Empire, now it's divided, but you know, the same problem in many countries, the same problem. Important moment was beginning of German intervention in 1941.
Yes.
and the revolution. And country still stay on these 2 points, because in the beginning of Second World War in USSR, what happens? Two evil fighting between each other. You would like to, fight for your patria or muerte, okay, but you would like liberate country from the Stalin and Bolshevik and all these, forces, like all these criminals. It was a criminals, and which side you have to take? With Germans, but it's the same criminals, and you are in between, like Vlasov army, like a Russian liberate army, which stay without fighting and just save or survive soldiers, and that's all. And after that, they all become to the prisoner in Russian Soviet Empire in Siberia, and a lot of people was killed. In that moment, because after that, Stalin was out of discussion, because he was like destroyed the biggest dangerous, the society in the Europe. He's, until now, he's out of discussion. No, nobody discussed what happens in the Soviet Union. And in that moment, in 1941, was completely destroyed the possibility to create society in that country, which is a very important moment. In 70s or 1905, it was a revolution in 1905, and after that 1970s, 17s. In that moment, they start the civil war, which is now continuing. We have in Ukraine fighting in between, in Russia also, fighting in between people who are for bourgeois way of living and bourgeois revolution, and who are against, who would like to belong to the old type of society where you are nobody, and the people who on the top can do with you what they want. This is the same question which 100 years after come back. And if we talk about Ukraine, but why Russian aggression now in Ukraine? Because it's dangerous for Russia, because the Ukrainian people, they choose another way to live. They didn't fight for European Union, because nobody knows how it's life in the EU, or knows far away. It is far away, but they would like this kind of direction, like where persona exists, where law exists, and they would like to, and property also, because in that country's idea of property is far away. Now you own a big company like Khodorkovsky, and after that you are nobody prisoner, because somebody want to do that. This is this why I come back to the question which I think still important for the country, and this kind of question is many, and they appears now, but from the distance it's better to see, because you are, as a spectator, you are not involved.
In both movies, there is a great sense of those significant moments. It can be more individual in one film, it can be more a collective moment in another, but moments when people can feel that what the choice will be, what the act will be, will have consequences, and maybe can affect or change things. Is it something that struck me? I mean, watching watching the two movies. So what about those very special moments, because you captured them in a very strong way, both in the fog, three individual destinies, and in Maidan, where there was the crowd.
people.
Yeah. People, yeah, but a lot of people.
Yes, but crowds
But at the
like
same time,
transform to
you
the
feel that
people.
also they are feeling they are living a moment, you know, one
Yeah.
of those significant moments when choice do matter and acts do matter.
Yes.
So could you elaborate a little about how important those moments are and how you capture them both in fiction and
Of course. You mean in the film or in the life?
yeah, no, in the film, but in both films. I mean, as a documentary filmmaker, but also in the fiction that was.
Of course, in the life, it's very important to catch the moment because you have to make a decision or not, and from that decision, sometimes in the life, like in Ukraine, it depends a lot, like 25 years probably. You know, Saturn, he's give us possibility each once in 24, 25, 27 years. Yes, after that, if you just run and didn't see the door, no, you have to live longer. Like the same with Russia, they miss this moment in 1991. Yeah.
Can you have a few words about your project? What is next for you? Next movie, next subject?
About project which I know or which I didn't know. Because you know, Maidan, it was I didn't know about that.
No, it was not a project.
Yeah. Yes, but I didn't like the word project because project is never end. You know, and film is must end. Yeah. About films. Okay. I 1941. Kiev, German intervention, and this is I already wrote the script, and we already was on the preparation, and we prepare very well, and now it's a war on the places not so far where we want to shoot, and it is a story about the biggest execution of Jews in Kiev in September 1941, and I didn't have a main protagonist. I would like to show from the big scale how the different people came to that point, because all direction and all group of people very important, because this is at the same moment, historical moment, when a lot of things fixed for the many years. And this one and some things which happens now in Ukraine, unfortunately, remind me word to word, word by word, the situation in the 1941.
Just the title of the film?
Babi Yar.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much. The time's up, and now time for the film. Et donc, merci à Sergei, et merci de votre attention, et très bonne projection.
Okay. Thank you.